Time now for a look at some business news, and we start with the markets in the United States. First of all, the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq ended with new record highs, but the Dow Jones slipped, closing down 0.1%, as you can see there. Retreating from record highs, also Asian stocks dipped on Tuesday. Potential roadblocks to a stimulus package in the US dampening investor confidence. As you can see there, it's still a sea of red across the Asian markets. All of them down at least over 1 percentage point, with the Kospi in Seoul and the Hang Seng in Hong Kong both down well over 2%. So a very bad day there so far on the Asian markets. Well, COVID-19 has already increased the gap between the rich and poor across the world. And now all eyes are on the rollout of the vaccinations and who gets what and when. A fair sharing of it, not just an ethical but also an important economic choice, according to a new report. The International Chamber of Commerce estimates that a failure to share properly could cost the global economy up to $9 trillion. Half of that to be absorbed by wealthy nations. Claire Rush explains.
As wealthy countries distribute millions of doses of the coronavirus vaccine thanks to advance purchase agreements, many developing countries, unable to place similar bids, have yet to administer a single shot. An inequitable distribution that could end up costing the global economy up to $9.2 trillion. Half of those costs would be absorbed by wealthy countries, according to the International Chamber of Commerce.
If you look at all the stimulus packages running around, if you want to ensure there's durable impact, you've got to make certain those supply chains are operating and the economies are operating in developed countries, which at the moment are out of the reach of access to the vaccine. Otherwise, you have a direct line back, not to Wall Street or to the CAC 40, it actually goes straight to the Main Street.
With global trade dependent on the shipment of parts, prolonged coronavirus restrictions could disrupt supply chains, making it more difficult for companies and wealthy nations to acquire parts. If the pandemic continues unchecked in developing countries, resulting in further job losses, that could in turn mean less demand, less purchasing power, less consumption, and therefore fewer sales for exporters in developed countries. An argument that could sway wealthier nations, says the ICC.
What they've got now and what we provided them is actually the economic logic which they can use to make the case in their own domestic economies as to why this is money not given away in charity, but this is money investing in the future of the economies and getting people's livelihoods back.
A global initiative to finance the equitable distribution of vaccines, known as the ACT Accelerator, is currently facing a $27 billion funding gap. But if wealthy countries do invest this amount, the ICC says it could generate returns as high as 166 times the initial investment.